Pat Cardwell is with us, and Pat is one of three candidates running for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District. Randy Forbes, House of Delegates member Scott Taylor, who was on our show yesterday, and Pat Cardwell. This will be decided in a June 14th primary, open to anybody that votes in the 2nd District. Speaking of the 2nd District, a big convention going on there Saturday. Starts at noon? 12 o'clock
yes.
On Saturday. Ours starts at 10 in Wakefield. Theirs starts at 12 o'clock. Where is it?
Denby High School.
Denby, is that in Newport News?
Hampton.
Hampton.
Mm-hmm.
Denby High School in the Hamptons, so they're out in the middle of nowhere. I shouldn't say that. But you got to go from Virginia Beach to Hampton, you got to get up early for that, fight the traffic, go through tunnels and bridges, right? It's even worse than Wakefield. Pat, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Pat.
Sir.
This race you've got, we saw a couple of public opinion surveys. You're at 5 or 6%. You didn't get to participate in the Chamber of Commerce exchange. I have no info how that went, and I've refused to cover it because I thought it was outrageous that you were excluded from that. So getting outspent by everybody, how do you make a difference here in the final month of this campaign?
Well, I don't know, John, where your numbers are coming from. Our numbers show us a little better than that. But putting that aside, the way we make a difference is we're getting out and we're hitting the ground running every day and every weekend. Door knocking. Obviously, you see more signs now of us in our district. So, we're out there hitting it every day, and really the best way to win this is through the grassroots and getting people to know us. And once they get to know us, they're always really favorable. I mean, people that actually spend time talking to us usually come away shaking their head going, wow. So, we're all about representing the citizens. We're about representing the district. We're not about the ruling class in D.C. We're not about being career politicians. I don't worry about re-elections the day that I get elected. I worry about representing the people. I worry about holding town hall meetings so they can give me an earful. And most importantly, I don't want to answer to the leadership's mandates or the K Street lobbyists.
Let's get to the National Defense Authorization Act. It passing by one in the House. Bobby Scott voting no. Whitman voting in favor. Forbes voting in favor. If you were there, what would Pat Cardwell have done?
Well, I honestly didn't get a chance to look at that until very late last night, so I can't honestly sit here and tell you for sure what I would have done, but I'm 99.9% confident I would have voted with Mr. Whitman on that. But I haven't read any of that particular amendment. I'm aware of the amendment, but it's just another obstacle to place in front of our contractors and our government in providing defense to this country. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me.
Let's go to the letter that Senator Tim Kaine put forth to the media, his letter to the president, which was really surprising to me. Tim Kaine, who has been to the Middle East a number of times, an advocate for Syrian refugees, chastising the president for dragging his feet on getting 10,000 Syrian refugees resettled into the United States. Now, Pat, my position is, and I want to get your thoughts on this, each Syrian refugee that we resettle into the U.S. costs us $65,000. So you do the math. 10 times 65,000 is a big number. That's number one. Number two, we have people suffering in the United States, jobless. We have 20,000 homeless people. Right now at 4:20 in the morning in Los Angeles, 20,000 people sleeping in a drain pipe. And now we're worrying about Syrian refugees. And the other thing is, none of these refugees are being taken in by Saudi Arabia, the Arab Emirates, Dubai, Kuwait, etc. So my question is, do you think that our listeners right now are driving to work, trying to make ends meet, saying, you know what, we need to take in 10,000 Syrian refugees that, by the way, we have no way of vetting who they are? Do you think this is really the issue that is driving people this weekend?
No, I don't. I think one of the things is that you may be underestimating the Tim Kaine letter. It may have been requested by the White House to be able to argue that, hey, look, even the senators in states are saying I'm not doing enough fast enough, and give him the ability to speed things up. So that may be more of a ruse than anything else. But that being said, you're absolutely right. I mean, we have and economic and job issues here in this country, and taking in and expending money on refugees from countries that we can't even vet the people. That's dangerous, and it's proven to be dangerous, and it's proven to result in death here in the United States. So, if you just look at San Bernardino alone, so we can't vet them. We have immigration laws. We don't ever pay attention to them. I've always taken the position since day one of this campaign that we have immigration laws. We should follow those laws. The president should enforce those laws as he's required to do. If he's not willing to do it, that's a humongous problem for us. But at the end of the day, if they want to change the laws, change them. It's not up to us to sit around and interpret things and just take people in. We've got more problems here. And when you got congressmen like Randy Forbes voting for the fast track trade authority, that results in jobs probably leaving the U.S. given our ability to negotiate trade agreements. All we're doing is taking people in and sending jobs out. What does that say to the American people? It says we care about you less and care about our jobs in Washington more.
Obviously, that's one of the issues, I think, as we've been saying all week. When I got this letter from Tim Kaine, who's a pretty reasonable guy, it really convinced me that the elites in Washington on both sides of the aisle still have no idea what is going on in their country. They really don't understand it. They're in a bubble, and they don't get it. I don't think Tim Kaine understands that his core constituencies don't give a rat's tail about spending all this money to get Syrian refugees in when they can't get a job, when they're struggling to make ends meet, when they're suffering. I think they're so out of touch, it's becoming frightening.
Well, I think it's worse than that, John, because what happens every election cycle is that, what the government does is, and I used to think it was a Democrat thing only. Now I'm starting to be convinced it's both the Republicans and the Democrats in Congress. They throw up these deflection issues, take the attention away from the American. This whole bathroom thing is, in my view, designed to deflect the attention of the American people away from the fact that the deficit is at $19 trillion. And oh, by the way, we're going to spend more this year, so it's going to go up under the current budget bills. So, it's their way of taking people's eye off the ball. And I used to think it was just a Democratic technique, but now I'm starting to think it's a Republican ruling class technique as well. And they work together on these kind of things in order to avoid being held accountable and honest in their representation to the people that they're supposed to represent, which are you and me. That's why I'm such a threat. That's why the Chamber of Commerce doesn't want me there today, and that's why Randy Forbes doesn't want me there today, because I'm going to point out, or I would point out had I been there, that these kind of things are it's relentless. They don't want us to pull apart the curtain and pull out the Wizard of Oz and say, hey, look at that, look what's really going on here.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of things that go on there that they don't want to share with the American people. Pat, I just got to get your thoughts on this. You originally got in this race to challenge Scott Ridgel.
Right.
I've been a very severe critic of Ridgel since you put that letter out publicly on the eve of Super Tuesday saying that anybody voting for Donald Trump like me was basically too stupid to have a job. Since then, they took me off their email list, but they didn't take my wife, Ann, off. So she forwards this to me. It's almost laughable, right? So Ridgel named fiscal hero by campaign to fix the debt. I just got this headline. I'm like, Ridgel named the what? By who? The guy got in on a platform to bring the debt down. Okay? The debt has doubled since he's been there. And he's voted for every spending bill that they put in front of him. Cromnibus, omnibus. He's voted for every single spending bill they shoved in front of his nose. Every one of them, down the line, the debt doubled since he got to Congress. And he now puts out an email, not to me, but that Ann got saying he's named fiscal hero. I mean, this is like the theater of the absurd, right? This is like Alice in Wonderland. Things seem one thing, they're not something else, and you got Johnny Depp with the hat. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, no, it's funny because you talk about Congressman Ridgel. That is why I got into the race. initially, and he did resign or say he wasn't going to seek re-election 90 minutes after I filed. Not that that was related to me necessarily, but factually it was bizarre. And when he comes over and he endorses Congressman Forbes and he brings him in and he has fundraisers in his house, it's just sticking another face on the same horse. He votes the same way that you just talked about. Randy Forbes voted to fund a lot of those omnibus bills.
He voted for every single one of them.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Every one.
Oh, I don't think he voted for the one in 2015, but he voted for 2014, 2013, 2011. So those people in Washington that are currently there, especially the leadership, the guys that Randy Forbes has told his position on these committees that allow him to hold meetings on aircraft carriers. Those positions are beholden to leadership, and if he doesn't vote the way he's required to vote, then he's off. So you lack really. There's a big lack of any kind of courage or spine in D.C., and we have to get rid of it. And Congressman Ridgel is just a symptom of what's a much bigger problem.
Well, he says he's not voting for Trump, so I encourage Scott Ridgel to write my name in for president. Scott, put in John Fredericks for president. It'll make you feel better. And those people that are voting for Trump, Scott, I'm sorry, we're not stupid, okay? We're sick and tired of the nonsense that's going on in Washington. That's why we're voting for Trump. We're not stupid, Scott.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that, again, June 14th is a very important day for this district because a vote for me is a vote for the people. A vote for the ruling class is a vote for Randy Forbes or Scott Taylor. They are career politicians. And I am somebody who's going to represent the people first, and always the people first.
What do you think of Congressman Forbes' big meeting and press conference on the aircraft carrier?
It's a theater of the absurd.
Why?
I mean, it's a campaign event. That's all it is. He doesn't talk about his past or his record. You ever notice that? Never talks about his record. Because if he did, he'd have to tell the people he voted to fund illegal amnesty. He'd have to tell the people he voted for a bailout in December of 2015, even though he says he doesn't vote for that stuff. So he doesn't ever talk about anything but what he can do to save the military. He is the grand old wizard, or at least he thinks he is. But in truth, we're not falling for it.
All right. We're out of time. We want to thank Pat Cardwell for being with us. You can vote for Pat. He's running for Congress. This will be on June 14th in the 2nd District. You want more information, you can go to patcardwell.com. patcardwell.com. Pat is running for Congress the Tuesday, June 14th election. This is an open primary, which means that all you have to do is be a registered voter, and you can vote. Again, more info, patcardwell.com.